Good morning, everybody. It's Sunday, 11 o'clock Eastern Time. I'm meteorologist Joe Chaffee. Welcome to my YouTube channel as we take a look at the nice autumn chill that is in the air. Woke up this morning, the temperatures in the right around the 40-degree mark. John Trabacchino, you mentioned to me this morning, you messaged me on my Patreon platform that you were down in the 30s. It was definitely a cold morning, and we've got some snow going on in parts of the plains and back over into the central Rockies. We're going to take a look at that and a few other things happening with respect to the long range. Uh, just just a reminder for those of you who are in New Jersey, just want to give you a heads up that I will be at the Springfield Public Library, the Springfield Free Public Library in Springfield, New Jersey. Their telephone number is 973-376-4930. This is going to be on Wednesday, October 17th at 7 p.m. And we're going to be talking about weather. We're going to be talking about the upcoming winter. And we're also going to look back on Hurricane Michael. Reading, by the way, some very sad stories this morning about the recovery effort and the fact that there are people still trapped where they stayed in right along the coast in Mexico Beach, trapped under debris. They're finding people that have been without water and food for days now. Read even a story about two women, mother and daughter, both diabetic, and only had about 2 days worth of insulin as they were waiting for it to be rescued, and they were rescued. So really, just some god awful story with regards to what's happened with Hurricane Michael and the Florida Panhandle. So we're going to talk all about that. That's at the Springfield Public Library in Springfield, New Jersey, on Wednesday, October 17th at 7 o'clock. And if you are in the New York, New Jersey, Hudson Valley, Long Island area, and you want to get your library to have a lecture and a program on meteorology and weather forecasting, just let them know that I'm available through Facebook. They can contact me, and we can see if we could set something up. All right, so why don't we move forward and take a look at what's happening this morning. I'm going to start off by moving out over into the Plains and Rockies, where the current temperatures and radar really reflecting that winter has come in a bit early. And we are seeing snow this morning across a good chunk of that region. With the snow over through much of Colorado. You can look at some of these temperatures that are in the upper teens and even down to 10. Just trying to see what station that's at. Wilkerson Pass. So I'm sure there's some elevation here where the temperature is 10 and the wind chill is 2 below zero with a dew point of 7. So they're getting the snow there in some of the mountains. Fort Morgan Municipal Airport right now is 24 with a wind chill of 12, a dew point of 16, a northerly wind at 13, gusting to 18. Even though the radar is showing some snow there, it's probably a loft. Their visibility is just 10 miles. So, but there is snow from there going on out up into the Central Plains states through north central Kansas and on up into parts of Nebraska. You've got either some wet snow or a cold rain with temperatures in the middle 30s. You got to remember that a lot of these places, especially in Colorado, I believe in Denver, for example, was just in the 60s a couple of days ago. So they're used to these big radical swings and big radical changes going on in that part of the world. And coming eastward across the mid-Atlantic, these are 11 a.m. Temperatures, by the way, and this is an 11 a.m. radar. So obviously, if you're watching this on a replay, you can check the local radars by going to weather.gov and to see what's going on when if you're pulling this up, say at 2 hours from now or 5 hours from now. But we do actually have some light rain, some light precip moving through parts of the mid-Atlantic states, parts of Maryland, some precip aloft in southern Pennsylvania at the midday hour. Much of this is on the light side. The temperatures are in the 40s to around 50. We've got some low 60s in southeastern Virginia and even some a 61 that's popping up I believe that's on the Delaware side of the map, and not in southern New Jersey. Cape May. Oh, that's Cape May. It's 61 right now at Cape May. And we were at 50 temperatures, mostly in the mid 50s in and around New York City. Upstate New York, northern Pennsylvania, upper 40s to around or just over 50. They saw their first snows in the Green and White Mountains over the last couple of days in Vermont. So the pattern certainly has a very, very chilly look to it. Here's the radar view from the plains without the temperature. So we just have the clean radar echoes, and you can see the snow across central Colorado, and then that area of snow and cold rain on up through north central Kansas and through southeastern Nebraska, and all of that is moving to the northeast. And then, of course, we have the area in the mid-Atlantic states and back to the lower Ohio Valley with some rain moving through. This is not going to be a big deal here. A lot of this is going to dry up later this afternoon into the first part of tonight as this weather disturbance goes by. So the pattern going forward really isn't going to bring us back to warm weather anytime soon. We're going to run through the GFS this morning, and we've got high pressure that is centered overhead from last night. This is the last run that we have, which is the 6Z run from overnight. And of course, you've got that weakening area of precip. You have it on the map here at 2 o'clock this afternoon, but it goes away. Here comes the next cold front for Monday afternoon with some showers later in the day. We're going to see a round of these, a series of these fronts moving through this week, and each one is going to have a shot of cold air. I think the coldest shot is going to come next weekend. Also, the frontal boundary with this stalls out in the western Gulf of Mexico, and there's going to be some overrunning precip through much of eastern Texas with a chilly high to the north in Kansas. So there'll be a bit of a pressure gradient there, but this is not going to be tropical in nature in terms of the winds that they'll see along the coast, which might be every bit of 15 to 20 miles an hour with some higher gusts, nothing excessive, but higher pressures to the north. Your lowest pressures will be in the southwest Gulf of Mexico. I don't think we're going to see much in the way of tropical storm development out of this, but you've got this front coming through, and then another shot of chilly air for Wednesday into Thursday. And if you look on the surface map here, there's actually a second front that sets up from western Lake Superior down into South Dakota. And that is what brings the reinforcing shot of chilly air for Wednesday and Thursday. That might produce some snow showers in parts of upstate New York and on up into northern New England. And then that moves out. The next high moves quickly off the mid-Atlantic coast. And here we are Friday night with another front. And that runs from the northern Great Lakes down into North Texas. That pushes through. Now, there'll be a couple of waves on this front. One of the things we're going to have to watch for is some wave development here. The initial push of cold air is going to be more west and south and then pushing to the east, with snow being indicated on that northern fringe of the precip. But this shot of cold air for next weekend is substantial for this time of year, at least. So I wouldn't be surprised if we wind up seeing some areas in the Northeast, the interior Northeast, seeing their first snows out of this system, be it snow showers or perhaps something a bit more substantial in some places. We'll watch to see how it evolves as that wave pulls away to the Northeast. And again, the overall pattern continues to favor this idea of shots of cold air coming down out of Canada, and we'll have to keep our eyes open at this point. If the trough is the upper trough by the time we get toward the end of next week is still in the east, which I think it will be, we'll have to watch for the possibility of something developing. I think I don't think it's a huge controversial thing to say that given the upper pattern that we're in now, with the trough mainly in the east, the ridge mainly in the west, and these systems sort of rotating around one after another, that along the way, one of these rotating troughs is going to become potent and carve out a fairly deep trough inland of the East Coast, and that could create some issues. We'll see. But until then, we do know that temperatures are going to average near or below average going forward. I think it's probably going to be like this through at least the end of the month. This is where what I'm talking about here. We're at day 9 and 10, and you notice that the GFS at least wants to carve out a pretty deep trough here in the east, in the upper atmosphere, a very wrapped up cutoff low. Uh, it's interesting. I could see how something like this could happen, but I could also see a number of different ways where it doesn't come to be. Still, the trough wants to be in the east, even as we go forward into the long range. So I think through the end of the month and the very beginning of November, we're going to be in this pattern that is going to feature temperatures that are going to be much below average. Why don't we take a look at what's going on out in the west, because of the fact that we do have some snow there front and center today. And this is all being caused by the next cold high dropping down and upslope winds that are occurring across the central and plains and into the central Rockies. That is, winds coming in from the east and northeast. They run up the mountains of the Rockies. You wind up squeezing every ounce of moisture that's available, and the outcome is snow. And you see it here. This is for this evening, but after this evening, it does wind down fairly quickly, and it's done. And while most of the action is going to be in the east, after this system gets done tonight, the weather in the west remains very quiet for the next 7 days or so. We really don't have a front approaching the Pacific Northwest coast around day 9 or 10. So we've got a long stretch of dry weather to focus on in the western part of the United States. With regards to snow cover, and I want to show you a couple of things here from the standpoint of snow cover. You know, we are watching, and I did put up a post on the Patreon platform about this last night. We are watching through this month the growth of snow cover across North America. Now, this is not snow cover here. This is the GFS forecast for snow across North America, cumulative snow, total snowfall in inches over the next 10 days. And you can see across parts of Canada that this is a pretty substantial. I'm just going to make it a little bigger here. There's going to be some substantial snows in areas across much of central and eastern Canada. Of course, those amounts do go down when you get down close to the Canadian border, and also models generating a little bit of snows there in upstate New York and into northwestern New England. And of course, we have the front-loaded snow that's being produced right now across much of the plains, the central plains, and in the central Rockies. Not all of this snow becomes part of the snow cover. We're still warm enough, especially in southern parts of Canada, where it might accumulate and then it melts. But as we get deeper and deeper into October and get into November, obviously more and more of this is going to stay around. But North American snow cover growth is part of the equation, one of many factors that we look at with respect to the upcoming winter. So it's interesting to see that Canada appears to be busy with respect to snow in the next 10 days. The other area, of course, that we look at is snow cover and snow cover growth in Siberia. And up until now, Dr. Judah Cohen pointed out that the snow cover growth in Siberia has been lacking, at least through the first 10 days of October. But we do have the GFS becoming a bit more bullish with snowfall going forward across Siberia, especially across central and western parts of Siberia. What matters is the rate of growth, and what matters is where we are at the end of the month. So Siberian snow cover right now, starting out this season, very tepid, low. It has some catching up to do, and at least for the next 10 days, it looks like there will be some snow cover being added to this region. Now, where it finishes is what matters, and we'll continue to monitor this going forward, as it's all part of the wonderful equation that we look at that has a ton of factors in it, and it's all because everybody seems to want to know ahead of time what kind of winter we're going to have. And I guess it's, some people are really, I don't want to, maybe obsessed is a little bit of a strong term to use when it comes to the long range. Always looking to see what the weather is going to be like 3, 6, 9 months from now instead of kind of focusing on the here and now and the current time. So I'm going to come back to the chat board at this point. Let me just bring everybody up here. It's nice to see, as always, a good crowd on a Sunday morning. Everything is good. The grandson, uh, yeah, Tappan, if you're my grandson, oh boy, you know, he's not even ready to type and talk yet. Dr. Cohen just tweeted about the Canada versus Siberia snow cover and what it may mean. All right, I haven't had a chance to take a look at it. I saw a tweet that he did the other day about it, and he's watching both sides, both the Asian side, the Eurasian side, and the North America side. I'll take a look at that tweet and see what he has to say when I'm done with the video. The 2011 snow, Corey Bodziak, yes, that was a big factor for snowfall in southern and central New England. That was the biggest snowfall of the whole winter that turned out to be a non-event winter-wise. That was an El Nino year, as I recall, a very strong El Nino year. So you wound up getting that snow coming in October, and very little snowfall for the rest of the winter throughout a good chunk of New England and the Northeast. In fact, one of the things I remember about that winter was the fact that in 2011, my daughter was working for CBS This Morning, and she was up in New Hampshire covering the New Hampshire primary in January of 2012, and I drove up there, and there wasn't any snow anywhere. There was snow in the cracks of the sidewalk. And I remember one of the nights that I was there, it happened to we happened to get some snow showers with a warm front, and that was it. I mean, I think I saw that whole season, by the time it was done, at least down my way, only produced a few inches of snow for the whole winter. So that was an El Nino year, a strong El Nino year, not a weak El Nino year. Ryan Ford, I don't think it's controversial to say that, yeah, if this pattern holds somewhere along the line, something's going to happen. There's for this time of year, there'll be cold air around, but it's not enough. It probably won't be enough to produce anything down along the coast. I think what we may see are an early start to snowfall in the interior areas of the Northeast and Great Lakes. I don't think that would be a huge shock, assuming that it plays out that way. And at this point, we don't know that it is. But the pattern does certainly favor these cold air masses coming down one after another, and each one is going to wind up getting progressively colder. I think the one next weekend is the one that's got the coldest profile to it. Okay, Raymond making an appearance. Good to see you here. Trying a little fishing with you, Uber, this afternoon. The sun's out now. I think I might just do the same. I'm not going to watch football today. Thankfully, the Giants played on Thursday, so I don't have to watch it all. I didn't even watch it on Thursday. I was busy doing a live stream here on YouTube. Jason Schaefer, Denver snowfall forecast. This event out there looks like a very broad brush 1 to 6 inch snowfall amount. I've got to defer to the Denver forecast folks, where, by the way, it's 19 right now with light snow, and they are forecasting, the Weather Service. Trying to see, they do actually have on there. I'm looking at some of the snowfall forecasts, snowfall amounts so far. Actually, in some places, it's pretty impressive. Boulder 11.2, Larimer, Colorado 10.8. I'm just looking at some of these measurements here. Mishawaka, 8 inches. Buckhorn Mountain, 7.9. These are all measured snows. I'm just trying to see if there's anything from Denver. No, not on this. I'm just looking at some local storm reports from out there. And as far as Denver's forecast is concerned, They're looking for 1 to 3 for Denver, with snow tapering off and ending probably late today, with temperatures pretty much sitting between 20 and 25. And by the way, they're forecasting near 40 tomorrow, near 50 on Tuesday, and low 50s on Wednesday. So you know that the snow, at least in Denver, is going to disappear fairly quickly. The volatility of the weather in Denver is pretty amazing. I'd like to experience that one day, where you can be at 50s and 60s or even 70s one day, and then be down at 10 with heavy snow the next, only to have it to go bounce back up once any storm pulls out and you get a ridge to build back in a day or two later. So I'm guessing that snow pretty much doesn't stick around very long in Denver, Colorado. You guys are already talking about blocking and PNAs and EPOs and all the rest of it. I always like seeing that. So let's, you know what? I can bring that up and we'll see what the PNAs are telling us, and the EPOs and the NAOs. Okay, so hang on. Okie dokie. So I'll bring that up. We'll take a look and see what those indices have to tell us. And here we go. So positive PNA, very strong, by the way, for this time of year. Getting a very strong PNA, positive PNA. So what that's telling us is that pressures in the Canadian, actually the PNA is a fairly complicated calculation. It's the differences in pressures that are in the Pacific, and I'm going to give you generic areas: Pacific Northwest, subtracting the pressures from off the southeast coast of the United States, and then also an area that extends out north of Hawaii. So higher pressures in the Pacific Northwest, lower pressures off the southeast coast, ridge in the west, trough in the east, strong PNAs, PNA index, and it gets very strong. The NAO, the North Atlantic Oscillation, which is of course, when we talk about blocking in Greenland, we do see it dropping from a strong positive level down to zero, and the EPO, which is strongly negative, going up towards zero. So if you want to use this as an indicator of where something may happen, the indices are telling you that come right around October 22nd, 23rd, I would look around that time frame, which is roughly 10 days, 8 days from now. So late next weekend, early next week, as we make this rise, whenever you see these indices rise from a deeply negative level towards zero, or if they fall from a strongly positive level, any accelerated drop toward the neutral line, when you think about it, it's telling you that there's big changes going on. You're going from one extreme of pressure to another, and that change is going to cause something to happen somewhere. So the other thing is that during that time frame, the ridge in the Pacific in the west stays very strong. So let's look toward, say, 8 or 9 days from now for something possibly happening somewhere in the eastern part of the U.S. or somewhere in the general vicinity of the eastern part of the U.S. You can't really that's a very broad interpretation of all of this. You can't really derive anything too much more out of it. You have to deal with the specifics, and that you use your short-term models to figure out. Okay, Stephen White, very hot and very wet. Yes, it was, especially for the summers. And thank you, by the way. You are new to the Patreon platform. I really appreciate it. Yeah, Timothy, you keep that site opened up. The ERSL website. Yes. I don't check it very much during the summer months. We start to get now as we go through the fall and deeper into the winter. I try to make a point of looking at it once a day, and sometimes I do forget. But these changes in the pressure patterns across North America, while obviously they're always important, but they become they are extremely important when we get into the winter time, and you will be humbled by them because they will teach you new things. Um, Colorado listening in, Joyce Mack. That's good to hear. Thank you very much. Good morning to you too. With that 1 to 4 inch snowfall in the Denver area, and some areas getting much more than that. Patricia Jackson, when does it snow in the South? Well, that's always a good question. Patricia Jackson, where in the South are you? Okay, so help narrow it down for me just a little bit. Um, So we had a La Nina winter last year, 2 winters ago, I believe, Shelly, man. Not last year. Last year, I believe, was Enzo neutral. Yeah, it was the year before that we had the La Nina. Um, Dio, I predict that you're in Florence, South Carolina, Patricia. Okay, 1 second. Dio, I predict that those, as I said, those indices are signaling that there probably will be some kind of storm system forming somewhere. How strong it is or isn't, that is going to be our short-term issue to figure out. You're in Florence, South Carolina. Okay, so you just had Florence move through Florence back about a month or so ago. Well, um, you're not going to see it now, and I don't think you're going to see it in the month of November, but it will depend. Obviously, if we wind up with a colder pattern shaping up over North America, maybe sometime during December, you'll get a surprise. But look at, you have to have for snow down your way. Your setup has to be almost perfect. So I would say I would definitely tell you you're not going to see anything anytime soon. You're going to have to wait till we get into the true winter months, I believe, to see some snow down in the south. And David Schwartz wants a winter without massive amounts of snow for a change. And well, you know what, David, that's always possible. Just because it's cold doesn't necessarily mean that the pattern favors snow. There is such a thing as being cold and dry, and we have had winters like that too. Joe Rayo often points out to the winter of 72, 73 being like that, which was a cold winter, but for much of the, at least for my area of the Northeast, it was there was not much snow. Oddly enough, up in Albany, I believe that was one of their snowier winters. So there was whatever was going on was favoring snows further north and northwest, and very little snow down along the coast. But yeah, that is always a possibility. You want to see some blue skies with gray days still just hanging around here. I know, this last stretch of weather we had with very few days with sunshine, it gets particularly, depressing, and particularly because of the fact that we had the high levels of humidity were very, 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 very tough to take. Um, okay, hold on. Uh, for the Northeast, El Nino always spells, Scott Reese saying, always spells icy border storms for us. I prefer overrunning events of these damn difficult to call events with transitional zones. Tell me about it. Um, those are never fun, and they're as bad, as tough as forecasts are. To begin with, whenever you have a situation like that where you've got all these transition zones to deal with, they can be absolute murder to figure out. Master Chief, November is sort of a look into what the winter may have in store, at least from what I've seen over the last few years. Sometimes November can be a good forward indicator, not always, but sometimes it can. And I find that it's good to pay attention to what happens during the month of November in general. It doesn't. It may not necessarily play well with the idea that it's going to play through all the way through the winter, but it might give you a hint as to where the pattern is going. And I'm a firm believer of the fact that the saying that history may not repeat itself, but it does rhyme. And you can, one of the things I try to do as a forecaster is get a sense for the overall pattern and the overall signature of how weather systems evolve in a given season, because they do tend to repeat. And you start to see the footprints being laid down during the month of November. So I think there's a lot of value of paying attention to weather conditions during the month of November. All right, folks, it's a Sunday. I think we need to spend some time doing Sunday things. So we're going to put an end to our live stream right now. But before we go, just a couple of things. A number of you have joined my Patreon platform. And on this platform, we have posts we have posts, we have videos just for Patreon members, we have posts just for Patreon members. It's just $2 a month. It's a great way to support what I'm doing here, not just on YouTube, but with my websites and now on the Patreon platform. You, by the way, get a platform that is free of flat earthers, geoengineers, HARP people, and all the rest. So consider it. It's easy. And by the way, you can message me at any time on the Patreon platform, and I will respond to you in a timely fashion. Here's the link. I put it up on the chat board. A number of you have joined. Thank you very much for joining, and I hope you consider that. The other mention I want to make is that another easy way to support my channel is if you shop on Amazon. There is a link to Amazon on the descriptor to this video and the descriptor to this live stream. So if you shop on Amazon and you use that link, Amazon, you get your stuff, and it doesn't cost you an extra cent because Amazon does throw me back a little bit of coin, and that helps me get a couple of cigars and a cup of coffee or some lunch here and there. So it's a good thing, and I'll put the link up right now also on the chat board. We are a participant in the Amazon Services LLC Associates Program, which is an affiliate advertising program designed to provide a means for us to earn fees by linking to Amazon and affiliated sites. All right, folks, have a good day. Enjoy your football games and your root for your local teams strongly. I have nobody to root for today, so I'm just going to spend my time perhaps doing a few things outdoors and getting maybe a little bit of fishing done. And I'm thinking maybe some ribs for dinner today. So we'll see. And don't forget, next Wednesday I'll be at the Springfield Library in Springfield, New Jersey. That is at 7 p.m. That's Wednesday, October the 17th. You can give the library a call for more information. It's 973-376-4930, or just Google the Springfield Library in Springfield, New Jersey. I don't believe you need to register or be a member of the library in order to come on out. It's at 7 o'clock. We're going to talk weather. We'll talk Hurricane Michael. We'll talk the upcoming winter. And oftentimes, after the hour-and-a-half talk is done, as they're trying to shut the library down, they wind up chasing us into the parking lot, and the conversation just continues there. We have a lot of fun at these library talks, and I really, really do enjoy doing them. So if you can, come on out. And if not, if you want me to come to your local area in New Jersey, Long Island, New York City, or the Hudson Valley, or even into southwestern Connecticut, let your library know that I'm available, and to get in touch with me through Facebook or Twitter or my website, and we'll see if we can arrange something. All right, folks, have a great Sunday. We'll see you. We'll see you again. I'm going to live stream again back tomorrow, so we'll take the rest of the day off.